Can we take it? Oh, there's Larry. Well, now he's wandering down that way.
Where's he going?
Just bring him aside.
He's going into shady. Uh-oh.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, here he is, Mr. Larry King.
Look at the look on his face.
Yes, sir.
I know you're thrilled.
We are thrilled.
We are thrilled, sir.
We have watched you for many years.
Try to hold it down. Okay.
And we are, in fact, on the air. A lot of people walk in and go, are we on the air?
Yeah, Sirius Radio. I listen to Sirius. I know it.
Okay.
By the way, is this air conditioning designed to kill people? Is that it?
It is quite a draft, right?
Yeah.
You want to move over one?
I would like to move over.
Move over,
Yeah, move
into
over there.
Jim Norton seat. It's either get cold or get some kind of a communicable disease from Jimmy Norton.
The great Larry King.
I had that grill moved because it would blow on me, and what a draft. It's crazy.
I can't take
Hey, Larry, you started in radio, right?
Sure.
How do we get out of this radio thing?
Yeah, how did you get out of
Well,
it?
Because that's what we...
First, I'll tell you about. I started in 1957. Neither of you were born.
No.
Right? Okay.
No, close.
And I always wanted to be in radio, and I thought I'd be, honest to truth, I thought I'd be either a sportscaster or a comedian. This is why I'm doing this comedy tour.
Yes.
Because I've always told funny stories, always appeared at conventions and the like. But I loved radio as a kid. I used to listen to radio. And I was 5 years old saying I wanted to be in radio.
Wow.
I'd listen to The Shadow.
The shadow knows.
Who knows what evil
Lurks.
in the hearts of men?
The shadow knows.
Shadow knows.
Yeah.
And I would listen to that, and then I'd go into the bathroom, and I'd imitate it.
Really?
I'd do the same thing.
Oh.
The shadow knows. What a high that was. So a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Yeah.
Whoa, I went nuts. What Lights Out? There was a show called Lights Out. Arch Opler did it. It was on Sunday night. And the announcer would say, turn down your blinds. Lock your doors. Crawl under your couch. And turn your lights out.
Sounds very complicated.
Oh, well, it freaked me out because you could imagine anything you want listening to that.
Right.
So I always wanted to do it, and then one day I did a bunch of odd jobs. I worked for United Parcel Service. I worked at a building right near here for a factoring company. I just got out of high school. My father had died. I had to help my mother. But I always wanted radio, and I ran into this guy named James Sermons, who worked for CBS.
Right.
And I said, where could I break into radio? I was 22. And he said, go down and try Miami, because it's a lot of stations, no union. So there's either guys on the way up or the way out.
And you had no experience at
None
all
at all.
except
I
for
went
just
down,
practicing in the bathroom.
Knocked on doors, and this guy at a small radio station said, I like you. We got a big turnover here. If you hang around, learn a little of the business. First opening you got.
What was radio like back then when you started, though?
Well, it was a lot of stations. FM was nothing.
Of course.
Yeah, FM was. In fact, our station, our big station that I joined, gave away its FM station. Just gave it as a gift to the University of Miami.
Right.
I think that station is number 2 in the market now.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, there were a lot of stations.
It's a
And,
good
of course,
giveaway.
the Spanish influx started a couple of years later. And a lot of Spanish stations. And it was fun because you picked your own music. Mm-hmm. At least on the station I was on, we played Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald.
And you got to pick the songs.
Oh, yeah, you pick your own songs. But I did everything. I did news, sports, jumped there. I did everything in the world. But my first day on the air, now this is a life's dream come true, right? I'm going to be on radio. Monday morning, 9 o'clock, May 1st, 1957. And I'm nervous as hell. And the general manager calls me in, and he says, this is your big day, kid. You're starting on radio. I said, yeah, I'm nervous. What name are you going to use? I was stunned. My name was Larry Zeiger, Zeiger's no good. It's too ethnic, and people won't know how to spell it. You need another name. I need another name. I'm 10 minutes, got to go on the air. And he had the Miami Herald open, and there was an ad for King's Wholesale Liquors. And he says, how about Larry King?
That's how
I
that...
never
He
knew
says,
that.
sounds fine to me. Whoops. Now I'm in the studio. I got my record cued, Les Elgart, swinging down the lane. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to fade it and talk over it. And I fade it and turn the mic on, and nothing comes out. And I bring the music up, and I bring it down, I bring it up, I bring it down, I bring it down, and I'm scared to death. And I'm looking at the clock, and like 2 minutes has gone by. And I said to myself, my whole career is ruined. I'm scared to death. And apparently I just don't have the moxie to do this. And the general manager, Marshall Simmons, I really loved him, he kicked open the door to the control room. And he said, this is a communications business. God damn it, communicate. He shut the door. All I did was turn on the mic. And I did something then, 1957, that I would do today. I was honest with the audience. So I said, good morning, my name is Larry King, and that's the first time I've ever said that. This is my first day on the radio. I wanted it all my life, scared to death, been playing the music, don't know what to say. General manager just kicked the door open. He said to communicate. I better communicate. I was never nervous again. Radio 2 years later got into television. Always did both. Never had a nervous moment again in broadcast because I learned that morning.
Yeah, wow.
That it ain't brain surgery.
Sure.
Okay, so what is going to happen is going to happen. But if you're honest, in retrospect, I realize if you're honest with the audience, you cannot go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If I miscued records that morning, or broke at the wrong time, or said the wrong thing, the audience has got to be saying, it's his first day.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought you've been too honest with the audience at times? Because I know that when we do this show, especially if it's a slow news day, you'll notice certain things will come out of us that we might not bring up on an ordinary news-filled day.
No, because I used to do a morning show. That's where I really started to get famous, was doing a funny morning show. And I did all sorts of wacky things. But no, I was raised in a different era of broadcasting.
I don't necessarily mean outrageous stuff. I mean just really letting people in on your personal life, growing up, things like that.
No, because when I started interviewing people, it was never about me. It was always about them.
Okay, right.
I never used the word I when I interviewed people. I thought my opinions were irrelevant. Like a lot of guys today, I don't like because they're soap operas.
Well,
I don't learn anything. I never learned anything when I was talking.
My dumb opinion on you, that's why you're a great interviewer. You let the guest talk.
I let the guest talk. I listen.
It's so
I follow
simple.
up.
If you think about it, but a lot of these guys, they have to talk just as much as the guest.
And my friend Herbie Cohen says, you know where you're successful? One, you created a vacuum and filled it. Mm-hmm. Second, you're dumb. That's the truth. You're like, why? Why did you do that? The simplest question, all these guys figure. When we had the first Gulf War, we must have done 70 straight nights on that war, worked Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. And my question, people came over to me and said, you answer the same first question every night, which was, what happened?
Yeah.
I would have reporters on, generals, people involved, people over there. What happened? But most guys think that they have to look smart. So they start to say, today, and here's my opinion. The simplest thing is, if you say what happened, one, you learn a lot. You learn it from their point of view. I wasn't there, so I don't know more medicine than doctors. I don't know more law than lawyers. I understood that.
Right.
And I always knew that I'd be there tomorrow night. I'm going to be there tonight. It's my show. That's what the name says.
That's what we say all the time.
Well, I want my guests to be great. I want them to be super great.
Because they're going to say, the Larry King show was great last night.
If I did comedy, I want the comedian to be funny. Why would I want him not to be funny? I don't want to top him.
I got to jump in. That's been our secret for many years. There's a lot of radio guys that feel like they have to be the funniest guy in the room when you have a really funny guy on. And I've told Anthony over the years, we'll get credit no matter what. And if the guy's killing, if Larry King is killing right now, I'll go home and my people around me go, wow, the show was great today.
If people listening to me and they find this interesting, that little story I just told, breaking they found that interesting. Where did it happen? On Opie and Anthony. Right. So I'm gone. You're here tomorrow.
Right.
So if this show is good, they say, boy, Opie and Anthony.
I wonder if we've got that philosophy from Larry King, because that's something we completely believe in. I got to go back. You said you've never been nervous since your first broadcast. I don't believe that. All those people you've talked to over the years, no one really got you nervous inside.
Nervous for a moment. A
little bit here, a little bit there.
Frank Sinatra.
Frankie.
Of course, he was hard to get. And Jackie Gleason got him for me. And I never thought he'd show up. And he owed Gleason a favor, and that's why he came.
Wow.
And we later
nervous from Gleason.
We later became friends. No, I was never nervous for Jackie.
Jackie made it.
Jackie was my mentor.
That guy.
When Jackie came down to Miami, they rented a train. They took a whole Amtrak train, and I was on that train.
No kidding.
Yeah, I flew up from Miami, and I flew down, and then I hosted the Welcome Jackie Gleason dinner. I did a lot of emceeing.
Right.
That's what I do in comedy is very not new to me. And so I stood on stage with him, and then he used to come on my show. Came on my. He was an insomniac, so he'd call in the middle of the night.
Wow.
And he came on my television show. First time he came on, he changed the whole set. He didn't like the set, so we broke into the general manager's office, and he brought new chairs in.
Wow.
And he lit it. He wanted it lit differently. Jackie was a genius.
We love Jackie.
I was just
Gleason.
talking last night about The Honeymooners was on, and I was like, what show in this day and age can you say in 50 years from now is still going to be on and still be hysterically funny?
My driver, when I'm in New York, Joe, he has all the tapes, and he plays them.
Over and over again.
You
just
can watch
them
those.
over.
You don't get sick
They
of
never
them.
lose. He let me, when they went down to Miami, they did hour shows, and they did them in color, and they did it with music, and it was very creative. And he let me sit in on writers' meetings, and it was really wild to watch those writers go. Because the Honeymooners, when you think about the Honeymooners, what problems he gave the writers, for example, never saw the bedroom.
Right, yeah.
Never had a phone. So you could never introduce a gag using the phone, where sitcoms always use the phones. Hi, good. The phone, that terrible phone call. You know,
2 episodes he had a phone, I believe.
yeah, they had a phone. He couldn't take it.
Had
They
a phone.
hid
They-
it in
was-
the drawer.
Yeah, hidden in the drawer, and the one where he had the counterfeit money and bought the phone. Gave the guy $100 just to take the clicking out of the phone.
And then and Norton was a genius. You had to come to the door or look out the window or go to the raccoons.
Right.
The raccoons where they wave the back of their
Yeah.
the raccoon. Woo, woo, woo.
That was
but Jackie was a comedic genius. Never rehearsed. Wow. He had a guy built just like him, a friend of his for years, who would do all the rehearsals. And
E-Rock?
He'd watch the rehearsals on the tape, and then he watched all the scenes. So, as Art Carney once told me, it was really weird when you did something with Jackie, like when you came through the door on a Honeymooner show, the first time you saw Jackie, that was the first time.
When you were taping it.
Another guy had rehearsed it. So Jackie knew all the moves. He knew what moves worked and didn't work. So he didn't need you to rehearse with you. He worked off of you.
No
And
kidding.
he understood regular people, poor people. He turned down a script. I went to a script meeting once. They came up with a funny idea. In the 40s and 30s, in the Depression years, they would have rent parties in Brooklyn. A rent party was if you couldn't make your rent. You threw a party for your friends. You had a little dish by the door. The friends threw money in when they came in. And you would serve the Coca-Cola and pretzels. They could bring beer, and that's the party. And funny things happen. Money gets lost. Things get lost. And I'm sitting in this writers' meeting, and it was really funny. It had a million jokes. And now Jackie comes in, and they read it for Jackie. And he's laughing. Yeah. And he's pounding the desk. And he says, "Nah, I won't go. Kill it." Why? Because Cramden would never throw a rent party. He had too much pride. He could never ask people to come and give him money.
Yeah, that would be out of character for Ralph Cramden, yeah.
So they go through this whole time, and all the writers look deflated. He says, "But we could come up with another idea, and you could use that joke there and put that one in this."
So the jokes wouldn't be lost.
The jokes would not be lost, but the concept was lost.
Right.
What a great thing to have, memories of actually hanging out with Gleason. That's amazing.
That's the only part of growing old that's good.
How did you?
The rest is a bitch.
How did you go
Anyone
from?
who tells you these are the golden years is a
The
freaking
liar.
liar.
That's crap.
These are not the golden years.
How did you go from spinning records and talking on the radio to interviews and
It was
becoming a
it's a true-
famous interviewer?
There was a famous restaurant in Miami Beach called Pumpernicks, and they were open 24 hours a day, and the slow time of day was in the morning, mid-morning, like from 10 to 11:30. So the owner of Pumpernicks used to listen to my morning show, right? They had a lot of funny things. And he liked me, and he says, "Why don't you come to my restaurant every morning? When you finish your show," I was on from 6 to 9, "drive up, I'll give you some extra money, and we'll do my show from the restaurant from 10 to 11. And that show, so I couldn't prepare anything. I just came, I was interviewing waiters and visiting show business, visiting people going to conventions. And one day Bobby Darin walked in. And I love Bobby Darin. And Mac the Knife was the #1 song in the country. And he was up early.